Okay, so let's start with today's session. Today we are going to learn about grouping data frame in Pandas, and this is going to be the last major topic about Pandas. We have pretty much covered all the basics of it. However, we will be keep using the library in the forthcoming sessions as well. Then we are going to learn about data visualization today, and particularly in this training program, you will be learning about three libraries: Matplotlib, Seaborn, and Plotly. There are various other libraries for data visualization in Python, but we are going to cover only these three. Out of these three libraries, Matplotlib, you can call it as a low-level visualization library, whereas Seaborn and Plotly, they are high-level visualization libraries. I have also uploaded new datasets to the drive today. So if I'm using any of the dataset, it is already present there and you are free to download it from uh, the drive. Okay, so let's start by grouping. Now, grouping means what you are doing based upon a particular column or based upon a particular value that is present in your data set. You are converting it into a group and then you are having a look at the data set. For example, in a college, there might be various departments. There might be a mathematics department, a CS department, and the records that are fed in the university system or in the college system, they must be serialized. But if you want to see the records only of the students of CS department, so then you can group that data based upon CS department students, based upon department column. Okay, so this is what we achieve by grouping. To study about the same, I am going to import a data set that is World Cup, I think. Let me check it once. Yes, it is present in the drive. A very small data set. Okay, here is the data set that we have. So this data, it contains records of all the teams that have won the World Cup over the years. Okay, so let's store it inside a variable that is teams. Okay, and this is our data. Now, what I want to achieve, I want to group my data based upon, let's say, teams, this team column, and I want to have a look uh, so as to how many how many records there are with respect to one single team. Okay, how many times West Indies won, how many times India won, and Australia and so forth. In a data which is this small, it is very easy to find that out. Okay, I can simply count it and I have my result. But when you are dealing with a very large data set, then grouping comes really handy. So let's see how to make a group by object. I have my data frame, which is teams. And upon this, I'll be using the group by function. Inside the function, you're going to pass the column as the argument uh, upon which you want to group the data. So team is the column, and this gives you a group by object. If you want to look at the groups that are formed, so we have an attribute that is groups, and this gives you a dictionary of all the groups that we have in the data set based upon team. So we have Australia, and these are the records where this is the team. For India, record 2 and 9. For Pakistan, record 4, and so on. All right. If you want to group, let's say based upon rank, let's see what all groups we have. So based upon rank, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 group. Rank 1 is present in these groups. Rank 2 is present in these rows. Rank 4 in these, and so on. Okay. So this is how you create a simple group by object and you make a simple group based upon any of the column inside your data set. Now, here I can only see what are the groups and which are the records that belong to this group. But actual records, they are not visible to me. So how can I display those? So there is a function that you can use. Let's do that for memes. And the function is called first. So when you use this function, it returns first record of each and every group. So for Australia, we get its first record. For India, similarly, so for Pakistan and every other team. This only gives the first record and not every other record. Okay. So this first function you guys can use to get an idea about how your data is going to look like. Okay. Once you have grouped it based upon one particular column. Now here is a task for you. At first, I created this group by object. Okay, this one. You have to find out later after the section. Can you loop through this object? Okay. Is it possible to loop through this group by object and to access the values? This is a small task that you have to do later after the session. All right. Give me a thumbs up if these basic functions and attributes are clear to everyone. All right. Now, there could be some tasks which are specific, like let's say this is the data. And for every team, I want to know exact number of times that team has won. Okay. So what I can do, if I form a group by object based upon team, and if I count either the rank associated with it, such as how many times in a rank this team, a particular team is occurring, or I can count the year. Okay, number of times a year is occurring for this particular team, basically performing a count in either of the columns. Then that would be possible for me to count how many times a particular team has won. Okay, so now I am the task that I'm doing that involves two columns: team, which upon which I'll form my group by object, and either of the column that I'll use to count the occurrences. So how to do that? So teams dot group by, and the group by object will be formed for team. Now let's say I want to count the year. So the group by object, okay, since this is a function, I have used parentheses to define its, to pass its argument. And this is the particular column upon which I am using the count function, whose value I am counting for this group by object. Okay. It is similar to slicing something out. You know that this particular thing returns a group by object. So from that group by object, if I slice the year column out and count it for each team, what I will get? I'll get the number of times each team has won. Okay. So this is a very basic thing. And even if I use rank to do this, I get the same results. Because it is doing nothing, it is simply counting the occurrences for each and every team that you can find in either rank or year column. If you want to get the average rank for a team, then you can replace it with the mean function and you'll get the average rank of a team. So this is how you can create a group by object and you can slice a column out of it and you can apply aggregation functions on them. Okay. So we have sum, we have mean, median, and all those functions that we have studied and applied on the data frame in the beginning of the lecture. Till here, I believe there should be no doubt. Give me a thumbs up if there's no doubt. Okay. Now, what if I want to group my data set based upon multiple values? Okay, right now it is only team. What if there is another column based upon which I would like to group my data? So let's take another data set for it. Okay, so you'll find a data set called XMart CSV. Please use it if you are coding along. Okay, this is the data set. Still not a very big data set. It contains only 14 records and it has information about customer ID, city, a particular store number that is present in that city, sales of that store, customer age, and gender. Okay, for a particular customer, this is the data. So you can see that there are such records present in this data set. So up until now, we already know if I want to group this particular data set upon either of these columns, city, store number, individually, I can do that. But let's say I want to know that for each city, how many stores are present there. Okay, how many different store numbers we have in the data set for a particular city. So which means I want to group my data based on these two columns. Pretty easy to do that. So you have the data set xmark, use the group by object, and instead of passing one single argument, you're going to pass a list. So first value will be city, second value will be store number. If you have a third column that you want to use for grouping, you can mention that as well. Again, a group by object for this column will be generated. If you want to get each and every record, you can get it. Okay. So for city, Bangalore, the first record that is existing, it contains store number 21, 23, and these are the details. Similarly, we have for Chennai, Delhi, Mumbai. If you want to see all the groups that are formed, the groups attribute will give you the groups. And if you want to calculate that for each city, every store number, what is the average sale? Then you can use this group by object. You can slice the sales column out. And you can apply the mean function upon it. Okay. So in Bangalore, there are two stores, 21 and 23, and these are their average sales respectively. In Chennai, we have only one. In Delhi, we have three. In Mumbai, we have three. Okay. So this is what you can achieve when you do multiple grouping based upon multiple columns. From this particular group, okay, that I have created, if I want to get the values, see first function, it only gives me the first value that is associated to each group. But let's say if I want to extract all the data that belongs to one single group, so how can I do that? So firstly, I'll be creating a group by object just for city. And the function that you use to get a group is get group. Mention the group name that you want to extract out of it. So let's say Mumbai. And these are all the records that belong to Mumbai. All right. And you can see that the group by object that I created for these two columns, it gave me all different kind of stores that were available. So we had a store 10, 11, and 30 right here. And get group has given me all the records for that particular group. If you are using multiple keys to group an object, like in this case, we have city as well as store number. And for this particular object, you want to get the group. Okay. Then you must provide two separate keys, one for city, another one for store number. So if I want to achieve it, either use a list or use a tuple. My first key is Bangalore. And let's say from Bangalore, I want to get the data of this 21 store number. So provide the second key, that is 21. Okay. So this has given you all the records where the city is Bangalore and the store number is 21. I believe everyone has a clear idea of grouping, how to use these functions according to your requirements. Give me a thumbs up if you guys have no doubts. Okay, let's solve a question now. You will find a data set, and the name of the data set is Big Bang Theory. It is present inside the drive. You have to group the data set based upon the directed by column. Okay, obviously you will use this function. Now you have to print all the episodes and the data associated with them, which belongs to the director Mark Sandrowski. Okay, so this is the value based upon which you have to get all the data. Okay, group upon directed by and get this particular group out of it only. Pretty easy task. Please do it. And if you are attempting it, give me a thumbs up. Okay, Paras and Murdhwaj are attempting. Okay, Paras Goel is also attempting the question. Everyone else, if you can do it now, please try. If you can't, then please try to attempt it after the session. And we are going to wait for these people to come up with a code. Also, please check the spelling for Mark Sandrowski could be different. There could be a W there. Okay, please check for it. I am not sure about the spelling. Is it done, guys? This shouldn't take any longer. Afan, this gave me all the groups. I didn't want all the groups. I just wanted this particular group that belongs to this director, Mark Sandrowski. Someone has given me, Modwaj has given me a code. Yeah. So this is what I was expecting. Well done, Modwaj. All right. Paras has also come up with the code. Okay, so I believe that everyone has figured it out. Now there is a separate question with respect to this data set only. So here it is. Now what you have to do, you have to group the data based on two columns, directed by and written by, using the group by function and print the grouped data frame. Okay. So based upon these two columns, you have to group your data and you have to print the average viewers in United States. Here at the end, you will have a column for US viewers. For directed by and written by object, you will have to print the data of average viewers. Give me a thumbs up if the question is clear. Okay, start attempting. Everyone else who has done the previous question, they can start attempting for the next one. All right. Afan Mordwach has given the right code. Shivam has also dropped a code. Okay, guys. So three people who have done this question now. A last question for you guys. Can you give me the record for maximum number of viewers? Okay. So just tell me the information about the episode which was viewed by most of the users. Viewers, sorry. Okay. The most viewed episode, you have to tell me the information about that episode. Give me a thumbs up if the question is clear. Don't give me a code this time. Just tell me which was the most viewed episode. You can mention the season and the episode number. Okay, so Afan has written season 7, episode 2. Yes, so this is the episode with maximum viewership. Okay, so I believe since you guys are able to figure it out, you have a great clue about how to uh, do several manipulations using the Pandas library, and you can basically combine all of these this knowledge together, and you can work on some data sets. There are various data sets that I have provided, and also many more are available over the internet, so feel free to explore now. Give me a thumbs up if you guys are good to go, or please take a 2 minutes break, and after the break we will be discussing about data visualization using Matplotlib. All right, a 2 minutes break for you guys. All right, everyone, please give a thumbs up if I have anyone here in the session. Okay, let's start by data visualization. And the very first library that we will be discussing about Matplotlib. When I started the session, I said that it is a low level visualization library. So, and Seaborn and Plotly, they are high level visualization library. By low and high here, we means that the visuals or the graphs and charts that you will be plotting using Matplotlib, they will require more lines of code, and they won't be as pretty to look at as the graphs that you create using Seaborn and Plotly and other high level libraries. All right. But since this is the basic of data visualization, so we are going to learn about Matplotlib, and we are going to start our data visualization journey. Data visualization, it is very important when you have to generate machine learning model. And once you have to make a model upon a data, it is very necessary that you have a good knowledge about that data. Not only what are the values which are present, but also how the data is behaving overall. And some insights, they are they can be ignored or they can be overlooked when you look at the values. But visuals provide you a much clearer picture, and hence visualization is an important factor. Just before we get to learn about machine learning, we'll be learning about something that is known as exploratory data analysis and also bivariate and multivariate analysis. Okay. And all of these things, they are related to data visualization, but a level up. Okay, so what we are going to do now, we'll just look at the basics, and later on we'll be doing the complex part. So let's learn how to create several graphs and charts using Matplotlib. Firstly, we will start by line plot. So there are various kind of plots that you can draw: line, bar, pie chart, and histograms, and several other kinds that we haven't used and we don't really use in daily lives. So we have like correlation plots, and we have a sunbeam plot, and a plot that looks like a donut. So all of these plots we will be studying about their relevance and why they are important. So obviously a line plot is a simple one that lets you know and makes you understand about the trends in the data. Okay. So if I want to look at a data that has information about sales of a company over a year or over a couple of years, then I can use a line plot to plot those sales. Firstly, we'll be using how to plot it using a NumPy array. So I am going to import NumPy and I'll create two arrays. So x np.array, and let me provide two values. Okay. So these are my two arrays which I'll be using as the data that I want to plot. Also, let's import Matplotlib. So Matplotlib, and from here we'll be using the pyplot package. Okay. So you import it as matplotlib.pyplot, and the alias that we use conventionally, it is called PLT. There is another way to import the same from matplotlib import pyplot as PLT. Okay, so either you can use this way or this way to import the library. So plt.plot function, you can use it to plot your line plot and simply pass your data. So I have X and Y, two arrays, and I have just passed them. And this is the plot that has been generated for me. But how was this data used to actually plot this line? Basically, you can see that my X array, it contains two values, that is 1 and 3. Okay, so 1 and 3, they acted as coordinate for this point. And then you can see that Y contains two values, 3 and 10. So 3 and 10, they act as a coordinate for this point. Okay, so this is how you can use an array and you can use matplotlib to plot a line between 2 points. Okay, if you see that the values which are present on the axis, okay, these are called ticks. These are x ticks since they are on x-axis, and these are y ticks since they are present on the y-axis. Right now, I haven't provided any values for them, and these values, they are generated by default. We will also see how we can provide values from our side. At the top, you can also see a value that is present inside a list. This is basically a raw value that you can see for your plot. So if you want to make it disappear, simply use a function that is plt.show. So, and this line is going to disappear. Okay, those values that you were getting at the top of your graph. Okay. Now, if I have to plot, again, I have to plot 2 points only, but I don't want them to be joined with a line. I want them to be two separate points. So let's take the same data and we will be making the necessary changes. So here X and Y is my data, and I'll be providing a value for a marker. So marker means how I want these points to look like. If I write a value S here and plot it, you can see that now instead of a line, I get two distinctive points at the same places, and these points, they are denoted by squares. So S here, it is a place value for data points that you want to look like squares. You can use other values as well, such as if you use uh, uh, lowercase o, then you'll see circles, and if you use a capital case V, you will see diamonds. There is one another value, I guess, asterisk, and you'll see stars here. Okay, so four major values that you can use as markers. Can you please give me a thumbs up if the basic idea of a line plot is clear to you and how you can make a line out of it and how you can use the same data to plot data points. Okay. Now, this particular line, it only had 2 points and these 2 points were joined together using a line. Let's create another plot. Okay. And this plot, it is going to have multiple data points. Okay. So for this array only, I'm going to add some values. All right. And let's plot it. Okay. Now you can see that there are multiple points. One point is here, another one is here. And at the peaks of this graph, each particular distinctive point is present. Again, you can use the same concept of marker here as well to plot these values. One question or one doubt that can arise here is what is going to happen if I do not provide any value for the x-axis. Okay, I simply am providing a one single array and only that array has been passed. So in this particular case, no error will be generated, but the value for x-axis will be 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on by default. Is that clear to everyone? Okay, let's talk about the style of this line. Right now, you can see that it is a simple straight line, but you can change its style. And if you pass another set of arguments, and here I'm using two dashes, and you can see that it is a dashed line now. You can also provide a value dash dot, and it is going to be a dash dot line. If you put colon inside it, then it is going to be a dotted line. Okay. So these are several ways on how you can style your line in the line plot. Please, you are free to explore more of the values that can be passed and more ways to style lines. There is a concept that is known as providing offset values. Okay, though it is not very popularly used, but it exists and it is a way to style your lines. So you can study a little bit about it. It's not that huge of a concept. Only one or two lines, and you're going to figure out how to create lines like so, or how to customize the style of your line according to you. Okay. Let's see another way of styling the line. So here the data is same, but instead of simply providing the marker, the line style, we are going to provide a completely different value. So I want my marker to be circles and I want my line to be dotted and I want the color of this line to be red. Okay, so this is a color code that I have provided. And when you see such a line, it is a dotted line with circular points and the color is red. Okay, so these are various basic ways to impart styling to your plot. However, this is still not a perfect plot, and we'll be having a look at other various ways that you can use. Okay, since we now know how to make a simple line plot, let's talk a little bit about labeling. So there are two functions that you can use to label your x-axis and y-axis, and these are simply x label and y label. They take strings as argument, and you can provide any value. So simply, I'm going to say that this is x-axis, and if you want to write any other thing, like these might be sales for some products, and on the x-axis you might have products, on the y-axis you might have sales, and any other value. So any kind of string you can provide. And for y label, let's say it is y-axis. And you will see that we have labels here. Okay. If you want your graph to have a title, so we have this title function. And you can see provide any string here. So x versus y. And at the top, you can see that there is a title. These functions they have separate parameters. Okay, so if you read the docstring, you're going to find that there are parameters for font. There are also other parameters. So these are not present here, but you guys are uh, recommended to read their documentations, and you will find parameters related to font size, related to colors, and other such things, which you can use even for labeling. Okay, so you can enhance not only your lines, not only something that you are drawing using the chart, but also the labels of your chart. Okay, let's see a few parameters, or let's see another value that you can use as color. So you might have heard about RGB color codes. Give me a thumbs up if you know about what are RGB values. Give me a moment, guys. So if you search for RGB color codes, you are going to find a chart. Okay. And if you want to select any particular shade of any particular color, you can select it and you will get a code for this color. Okay. A hex code. You can copy this code from here and you can go back to your graph. So what we are going to do, we will be using this data only. And let's remove this part. So I'm going to provide the color. Use a hashtag and paste your color code. Just give me a moment. I need to do this again. Okay. So I picked a color and I pasted its hex code here, and you can see that that color has been imparted to my graph. Okay. So either you can use color codes or you can use RGB color codes. So there are also color codes such as R for red and B for blue, K for black. Okay, so all the primary colors, they are also present in form of one single letters that you can use for their respective color code. Okay, and you can also use a parameter that is line width to change the width of your line. Okay, you can provide any integer or float value and it is going to impact the width of your line. All right, so the basic part of visualization for line plot, I guess it is clear to everyone. Give me a thumbs up if no doubt so far. Okay, let's have a look at one or two last plots with respect to line plot, and we are going to see how to introduce multiple lines in one single plot. Okay, so this is the code that I'll be using, and instead of using one single array, I'm going to declare another array as well. So let's name them y1 and y2, and this also contains some values. All right. So this particular plot function is plotting y1, and I can declare another function to plot y2. You can change the color, you can change the line width, you can change the line style, everything that you have studied so far, you can provide them in various ways. And you can see that this is how multiple lines can exist in single plot. If you want this plot to have a grid as well, you can use a function that is grid, and then your plot will have a grid. All right. This grid function also has some parameters that you're going to study on your own. There is an access parameter. There are also color, line style. Okay, please explore at least these three parameters. All right, so these are various variations of a line plot. Let's move to understanding a few things about bar charts or bar plots. यहाँ तक किसी को कोई भी doubt, they can drop in the chat box. Otherwise, give me a thumbs up. Okay. So you are going to find a data set that is studentsperformance.csv in the drive, and I'm going to use it to plot the bar chart. So we'll be working on this data set, but it does not mean that you guys cannot provide NumPy arrays as value to bar charts. Okay, that can happen as well. We have seen it for line plot. Every other plot can take array values also, but we'll be focusing on how to create a chart, a bar chart specifically upon any data set. Okay, so this is a data set that we have, and this particular data set contains information about the students. Let's do some kind of, let's use some functions and attain a summary of this data set to understand about it. So I'm going to check the shape, and you can see that up until now, this is the largest data set that we have seen. Okay, 1000 rows, 8 columns. Now, these are few top records of this data set. And we have columns such as gender, race, ethnicity, parental level of education, and we also have columns related to scores in three different things: math, reading, and writing. Okay. You guys can perform some exploration and you will be able to know. Let's figure out how many different kind of groups are present inside this data, how many different kinds of parental level education is present, and such things. So for student data set, let's check for race and ethnicity column. So I told you about a parameter that is value, function that is value counts. Okay, so this function, it does not only tell me the unique values which are present inside this column, but also gives me a count of how many records belong to this particular value. Upon looking this data, I get to know that group C is present in majority inside this data set. Okay. So though this is telling me already that this particular group is present, but what if I want to create a bar chart for this data? Okay. So let's figure out. If you observe, you can find out that this particular data is of series type. Okay, so this is a Pandas series. Pandas series had some attributes. So we know that these are indexes and we know that these are the values for the series. If I want to create a bar chart, these can be the values on one axis and these can be the values on the other axis. So let's get out indexes using the index attribute. These are the groups. And let's also take the values for the groups out of the series. Okay, so these are the values. This can be my data for x-axis and this can be my data for y-axis. To plot it, we are going to use the function plt.bar and we will provide the values x and y. And let's create the bar plot. Okay, so we have a bar plot which is telling me various types of groups present inside the data and their constitution. Okay, so group C, it is present in the maximum records, and group A, people, they are in minimum numbers. So this is a simple way to draw a simple graph using a data and based upon the values that are present in one specific column. Till here, okay, drawing this one simple graph, I believe there is no doubt. Give me a thumbs up if there's no doubt. All right. Now, if I ask you guys, okay, so you can see that we have race and ethnicity, and we have these columns for score as well. If I ask you, draw me a graph for different race and ethnicity that shows me the average math score for the different groups that are available. I'm going to write the question for different groups present in the data. Draw a graph that shows average math score for these groups. Question समझ में आया? Please give me a thumbs up if you understand the question. Okay. One hint that I would give you, this time you would use the grouping function. Okay, because you need to find for a group for a particular value of score column, and you need to find its average, and then you have to plot it. Use bar graph to plot. You can also use value counts function. This will also help you. And please start solving it. Everyone who is going to solve it, give me a thumbs up. Here is the question. The data set that I'm using, it is students performance data set and it is in the drive. Hanji, is there anyone who has solved? Okay, take your time, Mudhwaj. Okay, so here you can see a graph for math score of different groups. Looking at the graph, we can get an idea that group E has a maximum average for math score. Okay, if you want to have, if you want to impart a color to this graph, you can impart it. If you want every bar to be represented by a different color, then you can pass a list of color for each and every bar. So firstly, I'm mentioning pink. And here I have written the whole name for the color. Then I'm mentioning the color code. Okay, another color code for the bar. Then I have an RGB color code, and I am writing the name of the color. So these are the multiple ways that you can use to impart color. Afan has also given a code, and I'm pasting the code here. You guys can have a look at it once you go through the notebook. Okay, but for something which is as simple as this, I would recommend Paras and Afan to have a look at this code. I believe you guys have used a different way, but I am pasting all the answers, so each one of you can decide. All right. Okay, so with this, we are going to end the session. And if you guys have any doubts, you guys can stay in the session. Otherwise, you are free to leave. Also, do let me know about the Saturday session. We need your view whether to have a 3.5 hour long session or to shorten the duration. And I and Kakuli are going to interact with you today with the same. So if you have any suggestion for the Saturday session, please feel free to share. All right. So we'll connect with you regarding that with you later in the day. Right now, you guys are free to lead the session. No, there's no session tomorrow. As of now, I don't think that there's no any session tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be a holiday. All right. Thank you guys.